You know how your favorite streaming service seems to know you better than you know yourself? Well, it's not magic, not at all. It's machine learning. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the engine that powers our modern world. All right, let's dive right in.
And that feeling? It's literally everywhere. Think about the last time you bought something online. Those "you might also like" recommendations? Yep, that's machine learning. The ads that seem to read your mind, following you around the internet? That's machine learning too. And the unbelievable technology that's making self-driving cars a reality? You already know the answer.
To really get it, we have to start big. So think of artificial intelligence, or AI, as this vast, sprawling universe of smart machines. It's this huge idea of creating tech that can see what's around it, that can think, learn, and then act, all on its own, without any help from us.
Okay, so if AI is the whole universe, then machine learning is kind of like the force of gravity holding everything together. It's the powerful engine right at the center of it all. See, instead of programming a computer with a million explicit rules for every single situation, we just feed it a ton of data and let it learn for itself, almost like a kid learns just by watching the world around them.
And if we zoom in even further, right into the very core of that engine, we find something called deep learning. Now, this is where it gets really mind-blowing, because deep learning is directly inspired by our own brains. It uses what are called neural networks, which are like these massive webs of digital neurons, all firing and connecting to solve incredibly complicated problems, like understanding exactly what you're saying or recognizing your face in a photo.
So, how does a machine actually learn? Well, it pretty much has two main ways it can go. It can be like a student in a classroom with a teacher feeding it all the right answers. Or it can be like a detective, dropped into a mystery with nothing but a messy pile of clues to sort through.
Let's start in the classroom. This is where we find what's called supervised learning. Here, we give the machine a textbook full of problems to solve, but, and this is the key, we also give it the answer key.
So what does this answer key actually look like? Well, it's basically a giant cheat sheet. We give the machine thousands, maybe millions of examples where we already know the correct outcome. We show it an input, like a person's age, and the matching output, their weight. The machine's entire job is to just study these pairs over and over and figure out the hidden relationship between them.
It's kind of like showing a toddler a bunch of pictures of cats and dogs. You point and say, cat, dog, cat, cat. At first, they're just guessing, right? But after a while, they start to pick up on the patterns, the pointy ears, the whiskers, the tail. And eventually, they learn to tell the difference, even if they've never seen that exact dog breed before. That is precisely what our model is doing.
And once the machine has learned all those patterns, it can do two really amazing things. It can basically become a fortune teller, using something called regression to predict a number, like the future price of a house. Or it can become a master sorter, using classification to put things into neat little boxes, like deciding if an email is spam or not spam.
But what happens when there's no answer key? What if the machine gets thrown into a room with a million puzzle pieces, but there's no picture on the box to help it? Well, that's where our detective comes in. Welcome to the wild world of unsupervised learning. I want you to imagine you're a detective arriving at a crime scene. There are no witnesses, just a room full of clues. Your job is to sift through all of that evidence, find connections that nobody else can see, and piece together the story of what really happened. That's exactly what an unsupervised algorithm does. It just dives headfirst into a mountain of raw, unlabeled data and finds patterns that no human ever could.
Okay, let's go back to that streaming service. They could feed all of their user data into something called a clustering algorithm, and it might come back and show them this totally surprising group of people who only watch old black and white movies on Tuesday nights. Or maybe a hidden group that loves horror films, but only if they're from Korea. Once you know these secret groups exist, you can give them exactly what they want. And that's the power of this. So we've got these two incredibly powerful ways for machines to learn. But here's the catch. Just because a machine is learning, that doesn't mean it's learning the right way. You see, there's a huge difference between a truly smart model and one that's just really, really good at cheating on the test. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? You'd think getting a perfect score is the goal. But in the world of machine learning, being too perfect is actually a really bad thing. It's like a student who just crams for a huge exam. They memorize every single question and every single answer, they get a perfect score, and then they forget everything the very next day. They haven't actually learned anything. They've just memorized the test.
And this is a classic problem. You build a model that looks amazing on all your practice data, but the moment you unleash it on the real world, it completely falls apart.
It's like building a race car that's phenomenal on a perfectly smooth track, but the second you take it onto a bumpy city street, it just can't handle it.
This is called overfitting, and it's a huge headache. The model has basically become a one-trick pony. The technical way to say it is that it has low bias, meaning it's super accurate on the data it already knows, but high variance, meaning its performance is all over the place when it sees something new. It's an expert memorizer, not a flexible thinker.
So, the big question is, how do we fix this? How do we stop our model from just cramming for the test? Well, we use techniques called regularization, which is a little like forcing the model to study with one hand tied behind its back. We add a penalty that discourages it from getting too complex in memorizing things, essentially telling it, nope, you can't use cheap tricks, you have to learn this the right way.
By doing this, we create a model that isn't just a good student, but a true master of the subject. It's called a generalized model. It's flexible, it's adaptable, and it's ready for anything the real world can throw at it. It finds that perfect sweet spot between knowing too much and not knowing enough. And that is the holy grail of machine learning. So, what's the cheat sheet for everything we just talked about? First, AI is the big universe of smart machines. Second, machine learning is the engine that makes it all go. Third, that engine can learn with a teacher, or it can be a detective out on its own. And finally, the goal is never to build a perfect memorizer, but a flexible, adaptable model that can actually think. These are the fundamental ideas that are powering so much of our daily lives. So now that you know the basics of how this incredible technology actually works, it leads to a final and maybe more important question: what will you do with this knowledge? The power is in your hands. Thanks for joining this explainer.